Hey guys, what's going on? Lee Sanders here from the RCWR show, coming at you guys with a YouTube breaking news exclusive that you're only going to be able to find here on the YouTube channel with regards to the talk of wrestling, entertainment, and beyond, as we've been covering it all since 2011. So you never miss out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and click on the bell notification so you're always notified of new content on this channel. Let's jump right into the news and my overall takeaway on this news. Big piece of news at that, as we're going into the weekend and we're just a couple of weeks away from All In happening in Chicago, Illinois. Don't forget, the RCWR show will be taking the show on the road to cover a little bit of all the festivities that's going to be coming about, but mainly the CM Punk meet and greet that's going to be going down at the Pro Wrestling Tees store. If you're going to be taking part in the CM Punk meet and greet, let me know. Maybe we can go hang out and grab a couple of drinks afterwards. Let me know by posting a comment below or get at me on Twitter and Facebook at the RCWR show. But the card, which is still morphing, so we really won't be talking about the card for a couple of more weeks, but we know Colt Cabana is supposed to be having a match there. Still, everything is a bit up in the air with regards to CM Punk. Is he going to be participating in this event or not? Well, in either case, if Punk were to show up, there's definitely going to be some friction between he and Colt Cabana, as according to a report by the Chicago Sun-Times, very reliable source, they actually did a fantastic job in their respective coverage of the Colt Cabana CM Punk taking on Dr. Amann, or responding to a defamation lawsuit by Dr. Amann of the WWE, as he was financially backed by the WWE. Colt Cabana and CM Punk, they actually were let off the hook. They had scored a major victory as they did not have to pay anything to the doctor. Well, a little bit of aftermath from that. Colt Cabana, real name Scott Colton, is suing CM Punk over legal fees related to their recent defamation lawsuit win over Dr. Chris Amann. This, again, according to a report by the Chicago Sun-Times. Cabana has filed a lawsuit against Punk in Cook County Circuit Court for breach of contract and fraud. Home in on that. Breach of contract and fraud. Colt's suit alleges that Punk promised to help him out with the legal bills from the defamation suit. Colt claims Punk told him that he would be 100% covered in a text message. Punk has allegedly failed to keep that promise, and Colt now has unpaid legal bills totaling a bit over $500,000. Punk asks Colt to pay half of the legal fees, which roughly would be just a little bit over $250,000, allegedly saying, "You are on your own." This is what Punk had said to Cabana. And apparently in a email exchange / text, CM Punk had said the following to Colt, and I quote, "To date, I have spent $513,000 on this Amann lawsuit," Punk wrote in an email. According to Colt, Punk would continue on saying, and I quote, "My outstanding current bill is at least $300K. Half of all of this is yours. Divide the $513,000 by 2, and that is what you owe me and what I expect you to pay me. Starting now, I will no longer pay your bills. I will no longer be paying your bills. You are on your own. Whatever my bill is currently will be cut in half, and half will be yours. If you choose to make this all ugly, that's fine too. I hope you won't, but I gave up on you doing what is right a long time ago." The lawsuit claims Brooks acted with fraud, malice, and oppression toward Colt Cabana with the deliberate intention of causing Colt Cabana harm. Colt is asking for $200,000 in general damages plus $1 million in punitive damages according to that lawsuit filing. So that is pretty much where things are right now. And as many of you guys know that know all things pro wrestling, and you've definitely been following the careers of CM Punk and Colt Cabana, you know that they were good friends for many, many years. And they had a little bit of a ripple in that relationship, all basically stemming from when Punk had appeared on Cabana's podcast, where Punk just let off pipe bombs left and right, talking about how he felt about his time in the WWE, what all led to him just quitting on the WWE, the infamous FedEx email that he received saying that he was fired from the company the day of his wedding, etc., etc., all of that, which we had covered a long time ago when the news had first broke out. And it just really seemed as though the friendship was strained, very strained to say the least, according to those very close friends, close associates to Punk and Cabana. The two had not spoke for many years. It seemed as though things were maybe starting to get patched up during this trial, as they appeared to be talking to one another. It was very cordial, seeming as though they were cracking jokes based on a lot of the reports that were coming in from those that actually had attended all the days of this hearing. And you were kind of led to the impression that, well, maybe somewhere down the road, these two will definitely get back to good. Maybe we'll see them in a situation where maybe Punk will come on back to the podcast and they shoot the shit. Who knows? But yeah, now you have this that falls on the laps of wrestling fans. And, you know, at the end of the day, look, all of us podcasters, media personalities that's going to be talking about this, at the end of the day, we're all fans, right? But I think what this really boils down to is, okay, so who's really right in this instance? Who's really wrong in this instance? And I definitely, without going overkill, want to just provide a little bit of colorful analysis on how you could be looking at this, because you can really look at this a couple of different ways, right? So first off, I think one of the questions that should be asked, just hypothetically speaking, if CM Punk at any time, whether he has it via email, and you know what, if he has the email, we're going to be able to see CM Punk's email address. It will be very easy to trace that IP address to wherever it had originated from. So if it had in fact come from CM Punk, that's something that you definitely have to keep in mind. If it's a situation where CM Punk said what he said, even if it wasn't email, maybe he said what he said via text messages. Okay, so Cabana got this on his cell phone. Okay, so still there is a trace. What this really boils down to is, unless there was some type of legal documentation that was signed by both parties, even if it was a situation where maybe just taking out a pen or a pencil and just writing down on a blank piece of paper or on a napkin tissue or whatever, right? That is still technically a binding contract. So if nothing is truly materialized, what you have right here potentially is a broken promise. And just a little bit of info for you guys, because I already know there's not going to be a lot of people, sadly, on YouTube that's going to be going in depth about what I'm getting ready to cover. They're just going to basically cover the news and tell you guys to subscribe. We don't do that here on the RCWR show. Broken promises are generally unenforceable by law. Now, in the absence of a contract or agreement which requires benefit to both sides, referred to as a consideration, the law is generally unavailable to enforce a promise. So let's say, for example, someone promised to give you a hat in exchange for some type of money or whatever, right? There's really no benefits to both sides, but if you want to get technical, there are benefits. I mean, basically, I get the money, or whoever it is that's coughing up the money, they get the money, you get the hat. So this would be considered a contract, and it would be enforceable by law, right? Whereas you have another example, which is, say, I promise to give you a hat. And then in this situation, no benefit promised to me, and as a result, this would not be enforceable by law. You see where I'm getting at? So in the first example that I just gave, okay, hey, I will sell you a hat for $10. It's a really nice hat. I just don't have any need for it in my inventory anymore. I've got all these nice Jordan hats. I've got all these NFL hats. Honestly, I don't really need this hat. You want it? You know, name your price. You can have it. Okay. And you name your price. I say, okay, that's a done deal. Let's do it. Right now, if something kind of weird goes down with regards to that, technically that is considered a contract and it is enforceable by law. Whereas if I promise you that you can have one of my hats and I don't come through on it, sadly, that is a broken promise. And generally those are unenforceable by law. Now, you do have a situation, however, where there could be an exception to the general unenforceability of promises, and this is the doctrine of promissory estoppel. Now, the restatement of contracts defines promissory estoppel as a promise which is the promisor should reasonably expect to induce action or forbiddance of a definite and substantial character on the part of the promisee, and which does include such action or forbearance. So in layman's terms, a promise can be enforced by law if the person receiving the promise acted in reliance on the promise, and the person making the promise reasonably expected that there would be such reliance. So, for example, let's say you have a company that promises to pay an employee a monthly amount for the remainder of the employee's life. Based on this promise, the employee retires from her job. Promissory estoppel would apply to prevent the company from withdrawing its proposal. And this actually was a real case. You guys can definitely go research that. You'll see a situation from 1959. So, there are a couple of ways that, you can look at this, right? And look, this is just strictly for logistical, technical, just discussion purposes, right? So, I mean, it really just depends on how much documentation Colt has with these supposed email and or text exchanges on CM Punk. But whether or not this would actually fall through in court and Cabana would be able to get the damages, it would be no different than me saying to any one of you that's in a jam. You say to me, hey, Lee, man, dog, I don't really know, like, fucking A, man, I think in maybe a couple of years, I'm going to have to move out of this basement because, man, the pipes, it's just falling apart. The ceiling is crap. And for the amount of money that the landlord wants me to pay for this shithole, I honestly don't think I can afford this, dog. There's just really no way I think I can afford this. It's just too much, and the landlord's not making the repairs that are desperately necessary. I just don't think I'm going to be able to hang here for another couple of years. And if I were to say to you, well, don't worry, buddy, no problem. Look, when it comes time, you're ready to move out. Don't worry, I'll get a U-Haul truck. I'll pay for your first month's rent. I'll pay for your first month's security deposit. Don't worry, I'm going to have you covered 100%. Whether I say this in person or I say this via a text message or via email, when that time comes and I just be like, hey, sorry, man, but like, you're on your own. I could say something like that, or, oh, I'm sorry, financially, I'm just not in a position right now where I can do that because things have changed drastically in the couple of years that I said what I had said, and we fast forward to now, right? And they could be extremely pissed off. Now, they could try to take me to court, and it could be a similar situation like what's going on with Cabana and Punk. Whether or not the judge would rule in that person's favor, remains to be seen. But when you get right down to it, would it be a broken promise? Yeah, it would definitely be a broken promise. And really what it comes down to, I think, is a moral standpoint. like doing the right thing. I mean, honestly, if CM Punk, hypothetically speaking, let's say all of this did go down, and I really do not have any doubt that Colt would be exaggerating or making up stuff like this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have filed the lawsuit, right? But like, assuming that this is legit, then what you have right here is a situation where, sadly, CM Punk, from a moral standpoint, did not honor his word. He reneged on his word. And I tell you, that's just pretty messed up, quite honestly, because when you really stop and think about it, CM Punk and Colt Cabana, after they had won their defamation lawsuit, they honestly should have turned right back around and tried to sue for punitive damages. They should have tried to sue for, everybody's time being wasted and all that. There should have been a counter sue, basically. There shouldn't have just been, oh, well, we got this defamation case by this doctor. We got to do what we can to try to win this. No, there should have been, okay, well, if this person's going to sue us for this, then we're going to go on ahead and counter sue. That's honestly what should have played out. And why it didn't play out like that, I have the slightest clue. And for those of you that have never had to deal with a lawyer before, I can tell you from personal experience, because my girlfriend's dad and mom, when they had went through their divorce a couple of years back, their lawyers, because I was very curious how the whole process had worked, because I never did with my respective divorce. Me and my late ex-wife, we didn't go through the whole crap with lawyers and all that. We both just sat down and was like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And we saw that through, signed the documentation. Okay, that's it. Mailed it off. A couple of months later, all right, we're officially divorced. So I was very curious how this whole process had worked out and everything. And basically, consultation for the most part, it's free. And then if you decide, okay, well, you know what, I want to go ahead, I want to hire you, you have some lawyers that will basically say, look, you don't pay me anything until this is all over. Or, well, look, if you're going to be going to court with this and you're thinking about maybe suing or trying to look for some XYZ money, look, I'm only going to be tapping into what we're physically going to be able to uphold. You have some lawyers that just basically will give you the consultation and will say, well, look, if you want to have me on as a retainer, this is how much it's going to cost. And then we'll worry about my bill in total once it's all over. So it's not a situation where you're just going to be getting like one flat out fee up front. Not typically in situations like what Cabana and CM Punk were going through, as you're talking about several weeks on top of a couple of months that were going on. And remember, when all of this had first came about, Dr. Amon, through WWE's lawyers, had said to Colt Cabana, hey, we're gonna take your podcast down because of all of this stuff that CM Punk had said on the podcast. And when Colt Cabana went to Punk saying, hey man, look, these guys are threatening to take down my podcast, what the hell? CM Punk is saying, hey, look, don't trip over it, don't worry about it, you keep doing what you're doing, I've got my lawyers, they're working on this, don't sweat it. And if you kind of think about the timeline, this was still kind of going as far back to when they were still somewhat cool. Because when you look at the timeline, Punk stopped talking to Cabana once Cabana had made an appearance backstage in WWE. I think he was just in the area and there were friends, associates that he wanted to interact with. And that just honestly had rubbed Punk the wrong way. And at that point going forward, Punk did not want to have anything to do with Cabana. So kind of thinking about the chronological order, okay, well, if that be the case, then why wasn't it established by Punk early on, once he found out what was going on with Cabana at that WWE event? Hey, look, not only do you need to lose my number, but with regards to me paying your bills and all that, no, you're on your own. Like, we're no longer friends, you're on your own. So this is a very delicate situation right here. It's definitely, for me, for what it sounds like, what I'm really looking to establish is if Colt Cabana really has CM Punk in black and white saying, look, I promise you, no matter what, I'm going to be covering this. We're going to be okay. But see, the fact that it's not in writing, like there is no proper contract, you can't help but kind of go, does Cabana really have a leg to stand on? And I guess we're going to know in due time. I tell you what, this is a huge overshadow as myself and many people are gearing up for this CM Punk meet and greet event. You know, I mean, it just, if you ask me straight up, does it make CM Punk look very bad? Yes, it does. And you know what? If I am CM Punk's PR team, right? And I would like to believe that CM Punk does have some type of a PR agent. I mean, he's got to. I mean, if he's truly just going at it by himself, more power to him. But I would like to believe that between he and AJ, one of them or both of them have a PR team to some degree. I would be looking to put out some type of a statement as soon as humanly possible, because to have this out there as it's just weeks away from the All In Weekend event, CM Punk doing this whole meet and greet and everything, you know, if he can shed more light on everything that's going on, I'm not saying that what he puts out will be the absolute truth and that people need to be drinking it, but the longer that Punk stays silent with regards to this news, I think it would be very detrimental. I think it could be very damaging, you know, on so many levels. So the sooner he actually gets out there and releases some type of a statement, the better. Whether it's false, it's true, it doesn't matter. As long as he was able to get out there and put some type of a statement, that's all that really matters. But I'm going to continue to stay on top of this news for you guys. And hopefully, hey, by the time we do the next RCWR show this coming Tuesday night, maybe we'll have a little bit more information. Maybe CM Punk will come forward or whatever. But you know, I always have been telling you guys over the years, there's one side of the story, there's the other side of the story, and right in the middle is that silver lining known as the absolute truth. And sadly, boys and girls, we'll never really know the absolute truth to what all is going on here. But you talk about such a fractured relationship, a former friend suing another. I mean, honestly, I would think at this point there is just no way in hell that these two are ever going to be able to get back to good. And it's quite sad. It's really quite sad. But I definitely want to hear your thoughts. Do you feel that Colt Cabana has a chance? Sound off. Or are you in favor of CM Punk? Sound off. Let your voices be heard. I definitely want to follow up on what a lot of you all have to say on next Tuesday's RCWR show, which you'll be able to catch live here on the YouTube channel, Facebook, Spreaker, also live via the RCWR Show app available in the Google Play Store. Just use the keywords, the RCWR Show. We'll come at you guys Tuesday night of August 14th, 10 p.m. Eastern, as soon as WWE SmackDown goes off the air. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new, because would love for you to hit the subscribe button so you never miss out on all the great wrestling and entertainment coverage we've been doing for you guys oh so well since 2011. So click that subscribe button, also the bell icon, so you always get them notifications, and consider being a Patreon member, where you get for $5 exclusive audio and video content. You get access to new original shows, bonus and new RCWR show content, and so much more. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Lee Sanders wishing all of you all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another, and may the good news be yours. Everybody do take care.